Hello and welcome to the New World Review. I'm Hello and welcome to the New World. It's bad because I know Liam's going to use it against me, aren't you, you horrible person? Hello and welcome to the New World Review. I'm Grindline Waifu and I am here to warn everyone to keep their promises. You heard me. Keep your promises or I'll be under the bed watching you while you sleep. Wait, no. Hisoka will be under your bed watching... No, that's not fair. Hisoka's been fairly disarming, haven't you, Soki? Killua will be under your bed watching you sleep while Gon sits in a tree watching you sleep and Kurapika gives you... pink eye? Hello and welcome to the New World Review where I'm not going to creep you out at all. Today we're going to talk about fluffy bunnies and cute babies and the purest of the pure characters in this hellscape we call Hunter x Hunter Zushi. Because if there's any character who deserves to be amongst fluffy bunnies, cute babies and maybe even flying piggies, it is my friend, your friend, our friend Zushi, who is actually adorable. Leave him alone, don't touch my baby. Just like, dislike or subscribe, all for him. Now before we go on this crazy ride, the exit are here, here, and here. I'm over here, here, and now I'm here. Whoa, I'm everywhere. You cannot escape me and the spoilers I'm about to lay down right here. Episode 32. Gosh, Hisoka's a weirdo, isn't he? But he's my beautiful weirdo, so we can forgive him for everything, right? So very much happened in this episode that took my breath away, I don't know where to start. Castro's downfall, his dance of death, the prediction, Hisoka being able to manipulate an arm that had been removed, the trick behind the trick, the big reveal at the end that wasn't a reveal but was a reveal. I simply don't know, y'all. There was a lot packed into these 23 minutes of animation and I loved it all. Hisoka's manipulation of Castro was artful. I'm not the biggest fan personally of knowing how tricks are performed, so for me, his explaining the physical and Nen situation to Pinky was okay, but not the most entertaining moment. That said, having someone explain a magic trick is one thing. Having someone explain a psychological manipulation, that to me is real magic. The imagery of the cloth to hide and reveal and dissemble is such a beautiful one, and the metaphors that exist written into Hisoka's existence are phenomenal. Mostly because in a lot of tricks that I've seen that involve cloth, the cloth is used to reveal a result. The unique use of it here is to hide the truth, and that is a wonderful flip on artistic metaphor. Hisoka is upside down as a magician in many ways, which makes sense because if you look at his hair, maybe that's how he sleeps, like a bat. One of the great things about the trick he played on Castro was that we as an audience could be distracted along with Castro. I sat and computed along with the audience in the venue. I became part of that audience. Putting the equation up on screen gave me a moment of immersion, despite the fact that I'd seen that equation before and knew what was happening. It was fun, it was silly, and it drew me in. It showed another side to Hisoka, and you know what? The entire combat sequence showed us another side to him. Yes, he's been a showman the whole time, and he's been throwing around cards and engaging in combat the entire time, but what we haven't had so far is a moment for him to show us that he actually is a magician and not just using the persona of one. Well, more on that later actually. He knows how to use the powers he's acquired, he knows how to entertain, even if that entertainment is the precursor to death. And the story he tells later as he's being sewn back together finally actually gives us a little insight into him and his childhood. That said, he is the prime definition of an unreliable narrator, but the idea of a child Hisoka wearing a beanie enjoying candy as he sits on his bed rather than lurking under one gave me a pang of sadness only an empath could feel for a psychopath. What can I say? I'm easily manipulated by backstory. It does make me wonder what his history is. How did Hisoka end up here? How did he end up being a person who spends his time training, grooming, waiting for people to develop so he can kill them? He's like a butcher, but without the apron and the cleaver. Instead of a cleaver, he uses cards. Instead of an apron, he wears that shirt he likes. Not the same at all. In fact, he's more like a crazy magician, but that much is obvious, so let's move on. Who was this mystical person who sewed him up with Nenenen? She's a member of the troupe, obviously, and she gave Hisoka the information, maybe, that Hisoka passed on to Kurapika. But here's a question. When would Hisoka have seen Kurapika's eyes? How would he know Kurapika's history? Did he catch it during Gon's final exam phase when Kurapika's eyes glowed for a moment? Did he do his research? Who's his source? And why tell Kurapika where he'd be going, especially if he knew where Gon was or could easily track him anyway? Hisoka's very confusing, and one of the most confusing things about him was the reveal that he was maybe a member of the Phantom Troupe. With his elastic love and flimsy lives, they sound really dirty, but we're going to pretend it's not a thing for now. He hides in plain sight. He showed Pinky what he was doing, he made it clear what was happening, and she still didn't pick up on it. That's beautiful storytelling, the giving to us of information that she didn't have, and she couldn't have. I love that him giving us backstory was called out immediately by her response of, I simply don't care. Why are you telling me this? It was entirely pointless information, but we still appreciate it because it's a Hisoka tidbit. And who is she? It's the first time we're seeing Renten in a healing capacity, at least as a healing ability for others. A seamstress healing badass woman with pink hair who Hisoka seems to like talking to, but who doesn't seem to think much of him. His excitement at watching her work was nothing compared to his attempts, or at least they looked like attempts, to impress her. She was not impressed. I like that. Oh, and before I stopped talking to her, did she take a photograph of his injury before fixing it? What was that about? Ultimately, she can stay. Can she stay, please? She's cool. She's also useful, so as much as I feel Hisoka probably wants to hunt her, those nenen stitches are pretty powerful, as is she. Killua makes a point of being unable to tell how Hisoka won, but she picked up on the actions for the most part, and that's worth noting. The Phantom Troop, if she's an average member, will be a very powerful and very difficult to defeat group of people. I hope Kurapika is training hard. Oh, I wonder if she's the Leorio equivalent on their team. Let's see if anything is made clearer in episode 33. Episode 33, and it seems Killua has reached his breaking point. We don't need to worry about whether Gon is safe, we don't need to worry about whether Zushi, cute little Zushi, is safe, and we don't need to wonder whether Anyway, his face could melt when he was afraid for his life because we know that Killua doesn't care and in fact has managed to prove that if any of us are afraid enough, we don't become the king of the rat or king of the cat. No, you're all wrong. He's a rat, by the way. Our faces just melt clean off because, oh boy, is Killua dangerous when he simply loses control, but in his own controlled way. Let's get into things with a little less terror here. Our three children began to train again, and they started the episode assessing with a DVD, which was the cutest ad for new technology I've seen for a while, given the show was made in the 90s. Ta-da, says Chicken Wing. Look at this amazing way of capturing video-based data in a rewatchable fashion. It was quite cute and looked so much like product placement. I was surprised when the TV didn't boot up and show the little bouncing DVD sign that was the fashion at the time. Anyway, the three are looking for Hisoka's bubblegum sticky thing and they can't see it because they're kids and haven't been trained in it. Little Zushi can though. Turns out he's remarkably powerful for a normal human person, but not when he's walking down alleyways alone. Also, can I ask why he was walking down dark alleyways alone and entirely undefended? I know he probably thinks he lives in a world where he doesn't need to do that, but if a guy with a vacuum nozzle for a mouth holding toys, a guy in a chair with combat caterpillar wheels, and a creepy guy who had tried to combatively molest me had been around, I might not have decided to go into dangerous places in broad daylight. What was he thinking is number one. Number two, have some bloody awareness, child. Take the long but very much bright route home. You're training with, by all accounts, at this point, a fowl who is teaching you to protect yourself and potentially protect others, or at least someone who's trying to literally teach you to be aware of things happening where maybe you wouldn't expect to see them. Please, Zushi, please generalize your behavior. It's okay though, because Killua's watching out for you. It's odd, actually, because this is the first time Killua has been seen to actively care about anyone who isn't Gon in the series. Yes, it's very clear that he cares about Zushi because Gon cares about Zushi, but Gon also cares about Zushi because Killua cares about Zushi, and both care about Zushi because they want to train more with Chicken Wing, and if anything happens to Chicken Wing, he won't be in any condition to train them. It's a whole sociopathic love cycle, I guess. It's nice that Killua and Gon care about something, and if Zushi's hanging out with them, at least Zushi is safe because they both reacted in a way that would work out well for him. In fact, when they just about painted that target on little Zushi's back at the start of the episode, I almost went to war with the series myself. Kill Zushi and I'm burning the whole thing down. Y'all want dark? My eyes will go as crazy as Killua's on a full moon after a werewolf bite. Make no mistake. Little Zushi is literally the purest, most adorable part of this series so far, and while I understand that that is a good reason to put a target on him, how very dare you? On a lighter note, it was very nice and very confusing to see Killua in clothing that he's never been seen in before. When did he go shopping? Where did the cap come from? Is this weather getting better? When did he start carrying new clothes around with him? Will we get to see Gon in the summer fashion of whatever year that is? Will they be modeling looks? Okay, back to the darkness. By the end of the episode, it became very clear that something in Killua has broken. He's managed to hide it from Chicken Wing, but maybe not from Gon. Both kids thought the other had been threatened and said basically the same thing about the situation. Killua's murderous eyes are hyper concerning, the intensity is worrying, but it presents us with a new question of whether he will be able to control his behavior enough that he doesn't get Gon and himself into more trouble than not. Right now, there's a level of control such that he can hide his intent and abilities from Wing. How long will that last? As he said, it's really hard not killing. It's really hard for him not to simply act on reflex. This arc has been a fascinating look into Killua learning how to function in society. Sure, he's learning how to function in society as a fighter, but that's not being a killer. He's learning how not to outburst and honing those abilities. His father must be so very proud because frankly, Killua didn't care about anything before. If you consider his character at the beginning of the show, he was bored and listless, traveling from phase to phase of the exam looking for thrills. Now Gon has given him a basic path and his goal seems to be to help Gon achieve goals. And on that journey, it seems that he's found his own goals that he actually wants to achieve. It's been a great overall character development for Killua thus far, even though there are very deep concerns about how enduring his behavior will be. Between the two episodes, there has been a great deal of fascinating new information and I'm loving the turn this arc has taken. I can't wait to see some more, but now is not the time for that, so that's it from me. If you enjoyed this, check out the Patreon, check out this video here and that video there, and maybe buy a beanie and maybe give me your soul on the Discord server and tell Liam to stop eating my ice cream. Have a great week, everyone. Goodbye.